Ethan drove up the winding road to the family cabin on Crystal Lake, the tires crunching over fallen leaves as he and his girlfriend Isabella emerged into the cool mountain air. It had been a grueling year. His demanding role as a cybersecurity specialist had kept them apart for months, turning their relationship into a series of hurried video calls. This weekend was their chance to reconnect, away from the chaos. The cabin, a sturdy log haven passed down through 3 generations of the Reed family, held echoes of laughter and secrets. His father, the esteemed Judge Thomas Reed, had died suddenly 6 months earlier, but not before outfitting the place with state-of-the-art security cameras and alarms, a paranoid touch from his days on the bench. They'd just settled in, unpacking picnic baskets and wine, when a shrill voice shattered the peace. "Stop right there. This land belongs to the HOA now. You're intruders." Beatrice Harrington, the iron-fisted chairwoman of the Homeowners Association, stormed up the path, her face twisted in righteous fury. She shoved a stack of documents at Ethan, ranting about delinquent taxes and a property transfer deed allegedly signed by Judge Reed dated weeks after his burial. Ethan's heart raced. This was blatant nonsense. Isabella, trying to defuse the situation, asked for proof, but Beatrice was already screaming into her phone, calling 911. "Trespassers. They're armed and threatening me," she exaggerated wildly, her voice dripping with manufactured fear that could sway any listener. Sirens pierced the quiet valley soon after, and 2 officers leaped from their cruiser, guns drawn, treating Ethan and Isabella like dangerous criminals based on Beatrice's hysterical claims. Ethan raised his hands, protesting his ownership with family deeds and photos, but the cops weren't buying it, one even snapping handcuffs open. That's when the cabin door burst open, and Chief Justice Henry Caldwell strode out, his authoritative frame cutting through the mayhem. As executor of Judge Reed's estate, he'd been inside investigating odd security pings. "Lower your weapons," he commanded, glaring at Beatrice. "This woman is a fraud disbarred for embezzlement and forgery years ago. Those papers? They're as fake as her tears." The standoff escalated into a powder keg. Isabella, drawing on her amateur forensics hobby, scrutinized the signature under her phone's light. It was a clumsy imitation, loops too tight, ink too fresh. Caldwell confirmed it, revealing he'd been digging into a string of suspicious HOA seizures in the county. Beatrice, sensing defeat, pulled a desperate move. She fired up a live stream on her social media, camera shaking as she sobbed. "Help! These elitist men are silencing me, a single woman fighting corruption. Judge Reed was a crook, bought off by developers, and now his buddies are attacking." Her broadcast exploded online. Hashtags like HOA Karen victim and patriarchal plot trending, splitting viewers into camps, some hailing her as a feminist hero against the man, others decrying her as a manipulative liar. The controversy ignited debates on gender bias and justice, with commenters accusing Caldwell of misogyny and Ethan of privilege. But Caldwell pressed on, unveiling Judge Reed's final act. A dossier sent to the FBI, exposing an organized racket where the HOA targeted grieving families, forging deeds to flip properties for profit. As dusk fell, he queued up chilling surveillance from the cabin's hidden feeds, nighttime clips of Beatrice and her sleazy accomplice, Victor Kane, prowling the grounds, muttering about silencing nosy owners and staging accidents. A timid neighbor, Evelyn Wong, crept forward with a bombshell, a hidden journal from Riley Thompson, a whistleblower who'd suicided under suspicious circumstances. The entries, some in invisible UV ink, chronicled HOA extortion, death threats, and Victor's boasts of rigging votes. Riley's death? The timeline was off. Her body discovered hours after a supposed self-inflicted wound, but forensics hinted at staging, sparking whispers of murder to cover tracks. Victor arrived like a storm cloud, his luxury sedan screeching to a halt, flanked by goons in tailored suits exuding menace. "Let's talk this out, no hard feelings," he smirked, but his eyes promised violence if they didn't back down. Ethan, channeling his tech prowess, countered with irrefutable proof, decrypted footage from the cabin's advanced system, including audio of Victor plotting permanent solutions and thermal scans showing multiple heat signatures at Riley's death scene, proving it was no lone act. The revelation hung heavy, fueling online fury as Beatrice's stream commenters turned on her, demanding accountability. In a twist that sent shockwaves through the gathering crowd now, including curious locals drawn by the sirens, Riley Thompson herself emerged from the woods, alive and unyielding. She'd orchestrated her death, with FBI help, a high-stakes gambit to infiltrate the ring. Her testimony was dynamite, not only fraud but assassinations, including Judge Reed's natural heart failure, laced with undetectable poison. The scheme tied into political rot, with Governor Victoria Slade pulling strings for campaign funds, enabling HOA land grabs that displaced families for luxury developments. FBI agents descended in a flurry of vests and warrants, slapping cuffs on Beatrice and Victor amid Beatrice's wails of "this is a witch hunt" and Victor's threats of lawsuits. The arrests went viral, polarizing the nation. Supporters cried foul over government overreach, while victims cheered the downfall of bureaucratic bullies. Trials dragged on in a media circus, Beatrice sentenced to 25 years for masterminding the fraud, her victim narrative shredded by evidence, though her defenders still rallied online, claiming sexist prosecution. Victor drew 30 years, his empire of intimidation crumbling. Governor Slade resigned amid scandal, arrested for corruption that had robbed 156 families of homes valued at $45 million. Restitution followed, but not without debates on whether it was enough or if the system was irreparably broken. Reforms surged, the Reed-Caldwell Property Safeguard Act, clamping down on HOA abuses with mandatory audits and whistleblower protections. Yet controversy lingered. Critics argued it didn't go far enough, ignoring systemic inequalities that let the rich game the poor. The cabin evolved into a community hub for legal aid, where displaced folks found solace. Riley, hailed as a vigilante icon, dove into law studies, her story inspiring books and podcasts. Ethan and Isabella turned the grounds into a gathering spot for barbecues, where stories of resilience mingled with lake breezes. As Ethan gazed at the rippling water one starry night, he mulled his father's legacy, a relentless pursuit of truth amid shadows. But was justice truly served, or just a bandage on a festering wound? In a world where power corrupts and the vulnerable pay, this saga begs the question: when Karens wield authority like weapons, hiding behind victimhood while crushing lives, how far must we go to fight back? The line between hero and villain blurs, but one thing's clear: silence is complicity. Rise up, challenge the tyrants, and demand a system that protects, not preys.